We also want to give you some breaking news, and this is out of South Carolina. We've just learned from Governor Henry McMaster that there have been several evacuation orders lifted. Just an unbelievable story. I know kids were there as well. Fox Carolina's Brandon Livornia joining us live from Mimosa Court in Greenwood with more this afternoon. And Brandon, I mean, this family, they've already had to deal with the death, and now this. Terrible news. The pilot, two men, a pilot and a co-pilot, both killed in this crash, and right now still working to get one of those bodies out of the plane right now. Working around the clock to make sure we are all covered when it comes to Florence, because really this is a life-threatening storm.
It is.
We know that sometimes you can't be at a computer, but you still want to know the latest information on Hurricane Florence.
I think we're all in agreement. We hope it isn't a rainy one.
Oh, please, Ben. Please, Ben. Say no rain.
I'll see what I can do.
Eric, we are live right now in the Media Filing Center. I want to kind of take you on a little walk here. This is where reporters and journalists from all around the country and the world are filing their report during this debate tonight. What do you think about Governor Nikki Haley's comments on Tuesday after the State of the Union address directed possibly at you?
I think she's a terrific woman.
Would she ever be a possible vice presidential candidate with you?
Certainly. I mean, she's a fantastic woman.
But another issue Kendra was talking about, you can kind of see to my right over here, fog, lots of it. This is really just developing as we've been out here the last hour or so. But then the issue that we've been talking about all day is the hail. That is still here at the A&P restaurant in Greer. Get down here so you can kind of see. Those officers were cleared of any wrongdoing, and today the sheriff is addressing his department's policy. Sheriff Johnny Mac Brown wants to make it clear exactly what their use of force policy is. The sheriff also told us last year there were 8 complaints of use of force and 7 so far this year. There was 1 written reprimand, and the other complaints were either unfounded, not sustained, or exonerated. So we wanted to not just talk about it today, we actually wanted to show you, and I got to take kind of a tour of the detour, you could say. Now, first, we want to make sure you know when this is happening. Tropical Storm Florence also impacting the Myrtle Beach area, where you've seen those high winds and lots of rain. Also some flooding so far. Fox Carolina's Ted Phaeton is live for us in Myrtle's Inlet. And Ted, we know you've been out there for a few days. We can see some rain, but are you seeing any damage right now? Well, we do have some sad news out of Wilmington today. We are learning that at least 5 people, including a baby and the baby's mother, were killed as Florence came through. Police say a mother and the infant were killed when a tree fell on their home. The father was taken to the hospital, but we're not sure how he's doing this morning. Governor Roy Cooper's office says a 3rd person died while plugging in a generator. Another woman died after suffering a heart attack. First responders couldn't get to her in time because some trees were blocking the roads. And a 5th person was killed after officials say he went outside to try to look for his dogs. We do want to show you this emotional moment, all caught on video. This is a group of firefighters in Wilmington who were responding to that tree on the house. They took time to pray in front of the home where the mother and her baby were killed. It's obviously been very difficult for those crews just to respond to all those calls, especially when they have things like those down power lines, the trees in their path, keeping them from arriving sooner to help. We do want to take you back out to the South Carolina coastline this morning. We are talking heavy rains and high winds from Florence, and really the Charleston area not completely spared there. Fox Carolina's Alexa Rodriguez is live from Mount Pleasant. So, Alexa, how are things looking behind you this morning? And as Tropical Storm Florence moves closer to us in the upstate, we know many of you are buying generators just in case you lose power, but we do have some important safety tips we want to tell you about before you turn one on. Of course, there is a risk of carbon monoxide poisoning, so really that's number 1. Experts say to keep that generator outside and away from your home and never run one indoors or in an enclosed space. We did speak with some doctors at GHS to learn how you can use that equipment safely. They tell us to watch for symptoms like headaches, nausea, or confusion, which could be signs of carbon monoxide poisoning. Dr. Osman also says if you can smell the gas from the generator, then it really is too close to your home. Another tip is don't run a portable generator in the rain. And I guess I was reading there are some covers that you can buy for them, Nicole, but I mean, there's so many other things to worry about. We don't have to worry about, carbon monoxide poisoning.
Right. It's a big safety tip. It's a big safety concern. Almost 1 million power outages at this point, and we're only partway through the storm.
I mean, they're expecting it could be even 3 million.
Right.
So we'll actually have somebody from Duke Energy with us coming up at 8 to talk a little bit about that. So that'll be good. But we're really keeping a close eye as Florence moves inland toward us.
We are.
Fox Carolina investigates. Some upstate business owners are frustrated over trains they say are blocking the tracks for hours, sometimes even days at a time. And they tell us it's disrupting their livelihood and their bottom line. I've heard some similar stories from other people around the upstate, so I did a little digging to find out what's happening at this particular intersection near Rutherford Road in Greenville and what's being done to keep those trains from stopping. Donald Keller has had enough. He owns Vintage Auto on Pine Knoll Drive and Rutherford Road in Greenville. He says blocked railroad tracks are making it difficult for customers and suppliers to get to him.
Unfortunately, it is a random situation. We never know when that's going to happen, and we don't know how long they're going to stay. We have seen trains here for anywhere from 15 minutes up to the entire day.
Donald took this video on his cell phone earlier this month. He says that particular Norfolk Southern train was stopped over an hour outside of his business.
This is a safety issue. I have seen pedestrians crawl over and under the train when it's at rest. I have seen people pass bicycles across the train to each other.
Across the street, Bo Gossett is frustrated too. He owns Gossett Concrete Pipe Company. He says he's been losing money because of those blocked tracks.
We have 2 manufacturing plants here that require a lot of trucks, materials coming in and out throughout the day, and it has been just debilitating. The frequency has picked up tremendously over the last couple of years, and we've just lived with it, but it has shut our plants down on numerous occasions.
And with a business where time matters, Bo is feeling the stress when his trucks can't get where they need to go.
We produce concrete products for highway road work, so we have tight schedules, and the plants have just really suffered at times because of this train traffic.
Both Bo and Donald tell us there is an alternate route, but it's not convenient and forces their trucks and extra traffic through neighborhoods. The tracks at issue belong to Norfolk Southern. We reached out for an interview. While they wouldn't go on camera, spokeswoman Susan Turpay told me what's happening is not normal. She says more businesses are using trains to move goods, including through the South Carolina Inland Port at Greer. She gave us a statement that reads in part, quote, "At some locations we have to stage or hold the train until there is sufficient track capacity to move it onto the main line, similar to an interstate highway or into a rail yard. When we need to hold trains, we try to choose locations that will not disrupt local residents and will still allow motorists to use alternate routes to cross the tracks. Our goal is to keep the trains moving, and we apologize for any inconveniences to the public," end quote. Turpay also told me they have been working to fix the problem and have reopened a part of the rail yard in Chattanooga that wasn't being used. Norfolk Southern says they're also using an extra rail line to support the increased traffic and hopefully reduce delays. While there are no federal regulations when it comes to trains blocking intersections, there is a current state law that says it's illegal for trains to be stopped on tracks longer than 5 minutes. But the fine is minimal, $5 to $20, and it's not often enforced since federal railroad law trumps state railroad laws. A recent opinion from the state attorney general's office backs that. Norfolk Southern tells me while they know it's a frustrating situation, they are trying to be good neighbors. Donald just wants things to get worked out soon.
I just hope that we could get some awareness both for the operators of the trains and for the community at large. Maybe we can have this resolved somehow.
And Norfolk Southern tells me they want people to report those blocked intersections. They ask that you look for a sign like this one that has the crossing number and a number for you to reach them. The number that they'd like you to call is 1-800-453-2530. That will get you to their railroad police department, who actually tracks those calls and the problems. Now, we did check in with the Greenville Sheriff's Office, local fire departments, and even nearby Wade Hampton High School. They all tell us while those blocked tracks can be frustrating, they have learned to work around it, and it hasn't stopped anyone from responding to an emergency or getting kids home from school.